Okay, okay. There goes my phone. It's gonna start yelling at me about tweets.
Yeah, I tagged you.
Always got to do it, dude. All right, guys.
Yeah,
Welcome to the OSC news and highlights show for January 30th or February. No, tomorrow's the 31st, right, Eddie? It's 31 days.
Yeah, that's 31st for me here today.
So it's the 30th and 31st since we're across a couple different time zones. So with me, as always, is the wonderful, handsome Eddie. And then joining us today is caster extraordinaire VOJ.
Extraordinaire. Hello, how's it going?
You're extraordinary. You are an extraordinaire. There we go. Now everyone can see your beautiful face. There we go.
Oh, awesome.
Perfect. And then we'll just wait for Penguin to eventually ruin this and for me to have to do it all over again. But that just comes with the territory. So yeah, everyone, welcome. Sorry I sound like shit. I had the flu, so I was like bedridden for like the last 2 days. So today is like the first day that I'm actually up and going, but it's a good thing since I'm coming back into StarCraft. The first thing I'm doing when I'm able to get around is StarCraft news. So it's good stuff. But yeah, VOJ will join us, and the Penguin will join us just a little bit later. And we've got quite a few big things to cover, really. First, starting with the OSC Championship. As we know, we'll take a look at our brackets here. Because if you didn't know, I want to show you who won. And it was Neeb.
Spoilers.
If you weren't aware. But Troop almost made that comeback from the losers bracket.
Yeah, sick run in the lower bracket.
Yeah. And it's always, Scarlet, like, you always see, like, Neeb and Scarlet go back-to-back on these, right? Like, they're always so back and forth. So, but Neeb ended up taking it 4-1. So, pretty convincingly, I think he's kind of got, I don't know what you guys think. I think he's kind of got Scarlet's number, though. I think he knows, like, I already know what you're going to do. Like, it's not a secret, like, he kind of just sees it coming at this point.
I think Neeb almost, like, made me think that we didn't need like a nerf to Zerg. Like watching Neeb play against Hydralisks and Banelings and things, like especially the way like that both True and Scarlet players like usually a bit more finicky with their Lings and Banes,
right.
And Neeb just seems to crush them, whereas a lot of Protoss players seems to fail. So that could be because he used to play Terran, so he's got like that little bit of micro potential that he has, but I don't know. Every time I watch Neeb, he seems to like have something that all the other Protoss players don't focus on.
Yeah, it just seems like he goes for it. Like I don't know. Like you're absolutely right. Like for some reason, he doesn't seem to play Protoss like the rest of the Protoss do. Like it feels like he plays it his own way. I can't even pinpoint either. I can't. Maybe
they're similar builds, right?
Maybe he's like stutter stepping his adepts like you would Marines. He's like doing some adept splits. Because he really does favor the adept too. Like we've seen that in the past. Like he's really wanted to still go like really heavy on adepts. Where we've seen most of the other players, go into like heavy stalker builds.
He's got some very potent timings with the Oracle stuff. So most players are already going Stargate with the Oracle, and then following it up with like a DT drop or something. And Neeb was like, "What's the fastest way for me to get Oracles and speed glaives?" And just does that like all the time and gets a lot of damage done, and follows it up with the DT drop. And I feel like he always plays it like Bio, and then he gets like a mech army at the end full of Immortals and Archons, and then he goes into like carriers. Like he used to go like mass carriers before the Infestors got their change on the Infested Terrans.
Yeah.
But he does like that 4 carrier, then like mass ground army. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but is it any surprise to ever see him in like a Final Four at this point? I mean, now we kind of just. It's expected, right? Like if he doesn't get it, then we're just like, what's going on? Like he must have.
It's expected, but the thing with this championship, it was the top 50 players of the year, and
right.
We're talking guys, like Bjorn was in there, Gumiho, Hero, top foreigners. You got Snoot and all these guys, Nurtio. So it was stacked. So to do that, to do as well in such an event is really a credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
He also had a really good seed after his successful 2017, but yeah, really dominant performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to Neeb as the champion. So as you can see, he's won multiple OSC titles between the Filthy Weeklies, Master Cups, OSC All Stars. You know, just winning anything and everything. It seems like.
Yeah, man, he's looking like really on form right now. I keep watching him and I'm like, oh, you know how people used to say for the Terran players, oh, you can play Terran and beat Zerg and the Hive Tech. You just need to play like Bjorn. I feel like Neeb's getting to that kind of level where like his control's just so nice. Like sometimes he fumbles it and he looks a little bit silly. I think there were a couple games in we'll get to it, but there were a couple of games in WCS where he looked a little bit sloppy and ended up losing it. But when he's on point and he's really focused, I just don't even know how people stop him, really. Like, his builds are so potent.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, before we get too far ahead there, we'll want to go over Cheesadelphia, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, we'll want to go over Cheesadelphia here. So let's pull up the bracket here for Cheese, which was really cool because of the representation across different regions. This was the first time we've had players from, Mexico, Europe, Australia, attend this event. So I think it's really cool that we had, multi-regions representation here at what used to be a very localized land, Yeah,
well, looking at that top 4 right there on the screen, it's 4 different countries, isn't it? So that's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, and, and obviously Neeb takes it again 4-1, so congratulations to him just winning another title. But, I think it was, some of these other players definitely had a real chance, whether it had been Masa, Cham, or Pro. I think any one of them, could have met him in the finals and, showed some pretty good games.
So to show how dominant Neeb was, though, in the Cheesadelphia, the only game he lost the entire tournament was when he left because he accidentally cancelled his Nexus. Every other game he won. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this was like, this is no joke in terms of like, the level of players here either. Like, especially for the North American scene, I think there's probably the best North American players here. And we all, like you said, from Australia, Probe went over. He's, probably the best here in Australia and New Zealand. He keeps winning here as well. But Neeb still kind of seeming to crush through everybody. It really shows to how skillful he's becoming now.
Yeah. He only had that one loss to Masa and then the other one to Cham in the finals. So that was it. Only the 2 games really. So super impressive. Obviously, this guy is just going to keep, steamrolling. So, but I mean, like I said, it's kind of what we've expected. Like, he's the best, North American player right now. Hands down. So, well, I don't know. Can you say that? I guess he's not in GSL, but I'd still say he's the best North American. Even though Scarlett's in round of 16, I still think hands down he's better. I mean, he's beaten her by proxy. He's round of 16 GSL. Right.
I feel like Neeb has like a better tournament mindset. Like every time I've watched Scarlett, like when you watch her ladder or you watch her like in smaller tournaments, especially, she seems to shine really well against players that are like kind of even in skill, maybe slightly lower in skill, like on paper, right?
Right.
But whenever she has to like punch up, I guess is the word, she seems to really struggle. And I think when she comes against Neeb, I think Neeb probably wins in their practice a lot. And she seems to do like some weird builds now and again to try to put him off, but Neeb still keeps crushing it. Whereas Neeb is really good at like punching up, like he beats Bjorn and all these other names. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like, he's never going to stop. I mean, I'm excited to see. He's already come so far, so I'm just excited to see how far he can absolutely take it. And we'll just have to see how where he can go with this. I mean, I hope he goes back to Korea, he qualifies for GSL for season 2, or at least it makes that attempt, especially with No Regret running the team house out there. I mean, there's obviously always a place for him out there. So, but yeah, like I said, I just really wanted to see him qualify for GSL here for season 2 because I definitely think he can do well. But yeah, and then our other event that we had here, we also had the WCS Leipzig. Which had some pretty dang stacked groups here. Let's go ahead and I'll show you guys the bracket here. I mean, the group stages, were a little more open. It wasn't quite as bad, but once you got to group stage 3 is really when it started to get tough. And looking here, Group A, Cyril, Namshar, Scarlett, and Stefano. Like that's a hard group. I mean, obviously Cyril made it look easy, but if you're just looking at all the names on paper, it's like any of these groups are super hard to predict. So, but yeah, and then just going into into the round of 16 here, just really great matchups. Special Thermal was one of my favorites, and then Special versus Snoot. Special's always are really entertaining to watch. I think
he plays Terran very odd. He's still going with mech, whereas every other Terran player is saying like, "Oh, if Zerg knows how to deal with it, it's impossible to win with mech." And he seems to just keep winning with it against Zerg. It's really fun to watch as well because he just keeps using like Hellions left and right, making his army like mostly Thors and Vikings. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we also got to see, Showtime, obviously, who ended up winning 2-3, or sorry, losing 2-3, 2-4. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I was going with the fact that he was able to get to the finals, but to get past Neeb and beat Neeb 3-2 was amazing, right? I mean, he was, at one point was definitely the best Protoss, in Europe, and he's really shown that he's been in form. I think this is a great way to start off the year for him. He's definitely not disappointed in coming in second place, at an IEM.
Oh, yeah.
So, and if he keeps placing high, I mean, he's definitely going to have a shot again for BlizzCon. But, I would say, for the rest of the DreamHacks we have this year, I mean, he's going to be a serious contender. Being able to take out Neeb is no joke,
I'm just wondering why he kind of slumped over last year, because I remember 2016 was it when he was pretty much like dominating everything.
Yeah, he was super dominant
in Europe. He was like #1, and then he won like a couple. He won a WCS like in the Poland one, wasn't it? When he beat Nurchio in the finals, something like that. And then like from 2016, I don't know what happened. He just started going downhill. Maybe the meta didn't favor his style as much. But it's nice to see him back because he's like he's got such a nice attitude to the game, and he's really respectful to his opponents.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I kind of like that, especially coming from a Protoss player. I mean, you go on the ladder, and the stereotype is all the Protoss players cheese and don't do all that, and you go watch Showtime, and he's like completely standard. You know what he's gonna do every single game, and he still annihilates you, and it's cool to watch.
Right. No,
I think,
Go ahead, Eddie.
In SC2 as well as every other sport, players do have their ups and downs and in form and out of form, and that just reflects where he was at for a short period of time. And champions always bounce back, and that's what he's done. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because let's not forget, in 2016, he was at BlizzCon. He was in attendance. Made it through. Then 2017, I think too, what it was too. I think he got inside of his own head a little bit. Because he had said in a couple interviews, because he wasn't placing very well. He was getting out in like the round of 30 and stuff, stuff like that. And I think it just really got into his own head. And he's like, I'm not having these good results. I'm going to keep trying. But, he kind of even couldn't really figure it out. And it wasn't even so much that he was playing bad, but it's just like he wasn't able to keep up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't even like a certain matchup that he was really struggling with, was it? He was just kind of losing across the board.
No, yeah, he was losing to Protoss, he was losing to Terran, he was losing to Zerg. I felt like almost like it always felt like he was playing from behind because he wasn't being aggressive enough, and he's always been sort of a more passive player, but I feel like other people just knew that and we're just taking advantage of it, right? Like, well, I know that I can get away with this. I know I can be super greedy because he's not going to be aggressive. So maybe it was just the fact that he'd kind of been figured out like throughout that last year, and like he hadn't changed up his play style enough to throw anyone, or wasn't really practicing anything too different than what he was already accustomed to doing. But regardless, I mean, like I said, this year he's turning it around. Like Eddie said, he's bouncing back. He's in really good form. So I can't wait to to see what he's going to do this year as well. But
I think part of it as well that we touched on with the groups, there's so much depth in the WCS circuit at the moment. Getting top 32 is quite a thing now, or top 16, and it's not easy to do. And it was actually really cool that they added WCS points and increased prize for top 32. That was great for the players, I think. So.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Well, I don't want to forget the champion because we're talking a lot about Showtime. He didn't even win. But let's talk about
Yeah, we haven't mentioned him.
let's talk about Cyril, who actually won
Lord.
the event 4-2, and he kind of stormed through here into the finals. 3-0'd Massa, 3-0'd Nerdchio, 3-1 Special, and then 4-2'd Showtime. So he kind of just went on a monster roll. And if I'm not mistaken, this is actually his first WCS championship. He's always been close. We've always known that he's had it in him. But this is the first time that, he's been able to be committed all the way through and win the whole thing. So he's already secured his seat at BlizzCon. I'm sure he's happy. Not that he's going to take the rest of the year off, but, it's kind of like it takes some of the pressure off a little bit, I think. If you win that first one, you're like, I'm set. Like, I already know I'm going to the global finals. Like, I already beat everyone really good at this one. I know I can keep it up. At this point, he's kind of like, all right, I'm in that mode where I'm watching everyone else's games and seeing how everyone else plays, and he's just practicing and keeping up his form. Whereas some of these other guys are starting, not yet, but if he comes down to like that final, WCS, and you gotta win to get in, then you're really stressed out. Whereas Cyril's just like, I'm already in, don't gotta worry about it. I'm just gonna take it easy.
Yeah, another thing, since you mentioned it's his first WCS win, I think everyone in Europe going into WCS late spec was like, yeah, Cyril's gonna win. Cyril's a bloody monster. He's gonna go in and destroy everyone. And no one believed them. Like, all the pro gamers play against him on the ladder, right? And they kept losing. But everyone's going in thinking like, oh, maybe it's gonna be Showtime. Maybe it's all these other guys.
Neeb,
and then Cyril just comes out, just storms through, and everyone's like, see, we told you. And so I think Cyril, that's maybe like a big step for him, like overcoming maybe his nerves or something like that. And that might be just one extra step that he needed to do. We might see a lot more of him, like really dominating the scene, at least in Europe.
Right. And of course, we can't forget our boy Massa, who did make it into the round of 16, which is still really good. He came out of the group that was sort of himself, DNS and Time. So DNS and Time are definitely two players that are very good, and especially with Time, where I feel like it's not someone who you're going to play a lot, being Massa. That's a hard matchup to kind of get your head around. It's like, I don't really know how this guy plays, what am I going to do against him, because you've never played anyone, who knows how the Chinese players play. So I think going into that match, you kind of have to wonder, like, what am I going to do here?
I think most people rate Time as the best Chinese player at the moment.
Right.
Didn't have the best tournament this time. XY had a couple of good games, I think, against Lambo, and Cyan beat Probe, so those guys probably performed a little bit better. But yeah, Time's the guy. He's the Chinese Cyril, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Massa DNS game 3 of their second matchup. If you didn't see that, that was an epic sort of multiple base trade, DTs and ghosts and everything like that. It was a really sick series to end the day. I really enjoyed that, despite being a Protoss player.
Hey, you can always appreciate a good game no matter what, right?
Well, that's what it's about, yeah.
No. And then unfortunately, he did get a little bit of bad bracket luck, and drew, Cyril. So, but, he still put up a good fight. It wasn't, he didn't just toss those games away. He still put up a good fight. So, but, obviously, Massa has shown that, he can do well. So, we can expect great things from him for the rest of this year too.
Another player I was particularly impressed with, who's been on my radar for a while because he plays in OSC a lot, is Nice, Taiwanese Protoss. He got top 16 and took a laser to 5 games, I think.
Yeah.
That was really impressive.
Yeah, some of these Chinese players are definitely showing up. And some of the other names I just want to shout out is like yours, because this was his first WCS event, and he made it all the way into Group Stage 3. And he had a tough group, too, between Special Snoot and himself. So that's a damn hard group to get out of. But, and he still won.
He was
still won
only one map off getting out, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, a game against Snoot. Yeah, so they were 1-1 against Snoot and ZVZ, and whoever won that map was going to go through, and it was super, super close. Like, to go toe-to-toe with these EU guys, especially, Juan's in there. It's like, Juan's going to get through. He's been practicing in Korea like a madman.
Right.
Snoot's been a little bit on a slump, I guess. A lot of the other EU Zergs like Namsha, Cyril, and not so much Nurture, maybe Nurture as well. I've kind of been outclassing him as of late. But yours still being able to take one game, and I think the last game was actually super close as well. Were you able to catch those ones, Eddie? With yours? No?
I didn't see his games, no.
Not the last one. I saw the first two, and then I had to go. But yeah, very close there. I almost have an Aussie up there as well.
Yeah, the pizza
He's
man
improved a lot, so I think he'll get more chances for sure.
The pizza man almost making it through. So he's one of those wild cards that I'm always going to cheer for no matter what, because I just want to see him do well. But yeah, overall the games are great. Showtime versus Sterile, guys, go back and rewatch those if you haven't gotten a chance. Sorry for the spoilers if you didn't watch it. It's been a while now already though, so you should have kind of already caught it. But good series. You can definitely see why Showtime wasn't disappointed in losing. You could definitely tell that he played his heart out, and so did Cyril. So both did an absolutely fantastic job. And now we got a couple months off though, right? I think what is it now? 4 months until Austin. Is it 4 months? Yeah, I think it's 4 months now. Yeah, basically
June, is it?
Yeah, I think it's June. So what? So February, March, April, May. So yeah, for like 4 months. 5 months. Yeah, 5 months.
Yes.
So wow, we got like what? Come on.
Perfect time to farm all those OSC points, right?
Yeah. Well, and now
That's right.
yeah, exactly. That too. But then we also do have in like 2 days is Pyeongchang, and then followed up by the Winter Olympics. So I feel like we could have like branched something else in there. Like I feel like the schedule is a little bit weird, but I guess we also do have like WESG coming up as well. So there's other stuff like to fill that gap. But as far as like WCS events, Austin's quite a ways away. But I mean that's obviously something that everyone looks forward to.
Well, the big IM Katowice, yeah, that's
Katowice,
coming
yeah.
up end of them. Yeah, 1 month.
Is that only in one month away?
I think. Yeah, it's the end of Feb, start of March.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I forgot that was coming up actually. I guess that's weird that they had two IEMs so close together.
I think this was DreamHack WCS, wasn't it?
You're right. Why did I think it was an IEM? I'm dumb. I'm sorry. I blame the flu, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not a 100. I'm not 100% toast today. My bad. Speaking of that, I think actually it would be a good time for us to take a little breather, a little break. Guys, why don't you give us a couple of minutes here? We're going to take a little 3-minute break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Hope you were able to get a drink or, hey, 3 minutes. You can make some instant ramen. You can do a lot in 3 minutes. You could brush your teeth, wash your face, while microwaving that bowl of ramen and like get back to your seat like exactly in 3 minutes.
Make a smoothie.
Exactly.
Can proxy 2-gate in 3 minutes, pretty easy.
Oh, yeah, that you can. Speaking of proxying, so I've been having a hard time right now as Terran. So I've been doing the old proxy banshee, and let me tell you, it's been working. All right, I think it's about back on the ladder, because no one really expects proxy banshee anymore.
No, this is what you need to do, man. This is what you need to do. So you have the build, you got the barracks, you got the factory. You can take a natural or not, doesn't really matter. You hide one starport in the top right-hand corner and another starport in the bottom left-hand corner. They'll never suspect it. They'll be like, oh, one starport, they'll only build enough stalkers for like a one banshee, and then the second one comes along, bam, they're done. That's
exactly.
it.
No, that's
Call them with that hand.
I've just been doing double proxy, and so I've been getting 3 because you can get the first one done, and then the other 2 will finish at the same time the cloak finishes. So then you roll in with 3, and then it's GG because they don't have enough stalkers to deal with it. Or you just prioritize like, all right, he's got a few stalkers, or you need to get rid of, the robo, but they never have enough anyway. So Eddie, I'm sorry, you might run into that now, just because it seems like it's making it back.
Don't
skip the robo, man. Can't be following these pro gamer builds. They're all skipping robo, getting blink.
No, can't do it.
Stalker's got nerfed, man. You can't do it anymore.
I'll get in there with my cloak and I'll kill your cyber core, and then what do you got to shoot up, man? Zealots can't shoot up. Nothing. They like climb on each other's shoulders and like try to take swipes.
They'll just start loading up zealots onto the shield batteries and let them overload, just blow the zealot up into the sky.
If that was a thing, yeah. All right.
There was a balance change that we're thinking about a while ago, putting banelings into spore crawlers.
And having them shoot up?
And having them just shoot into the air and explode. Yeah.
That would be so stupid. do like
easier just to bring the Scourge back from Brood War.
Yeah, may as well. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be a cool animation. I wouldn't be disappointed in seeing the animation.
It means you couldn't be offensive with it. You could only be defensive with spores. But after the Swarm Host shenaniganry, they're just like, nah, we're not doing that in Legacy. spores with Swarm Host, just too good.
AoE baneling hits for air. See, well, I always thought it was interesting. I always thought that if a Phoenix picked up a baneling and it killed it while it was in the air, it would be interesting if it still dealt AoE damage. Because it doesn't. But it would be interesting if it still did.
I mean, it does AoE damage on the ground, around it.
If you kill it while it's in the air, while it's lifted?
So if it's in the air and the zealots underneath, the zealots take damage.
Do they?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't know that. Today I learned.
Yeah, it's because usually when you A-move the zealots, they just go past and you don't care, so...
Right. I mean, they're dying to all the other 10 banelings and you only picked up the 1.
Yeah.
Whatever. Stupid zealots. Anyway, let's moving on. We do have some new stuff, some new OSC changes. I'll go ahead and I'll bring that up and I'll let Eddie kind of take the ropes here on that.
Yeah, basically what we sort of teased a couple of weeks back that we've announced started 2018 season 2 weeks ago, which is we'll be offering prizes of flights, accommodation, and entry, return tickets, and by that it's to the event and back from the event to a StarCraft 2 event of your choice. Just by participating in OSC tournaments, there's going to be a lottery draw. So the more you play, the more tickets you get. There'll also be cash prizes up for grabs, as well as things like we've extended the bounties to EU now, all of the WCS circuits. We've got some new tournaments already up and running. Another 1 or 2 coming out in the next week or so, as well as rewards for supporting us here on OSC Esports Twitch, which is also the same sort of deal, return flights, accommodation, and entry,
right,
as well as OSC Elite jersey giveaways and free subscription and things like that. All the info is down below. There's also a sub command if you're interested. So some big changes there. Instead of just going with our cash prizes to the top regional players, we're sort of upping our game a bit and wanting to get fans and players a unique experience in StarCraft, I think.
Yeah, no one's done anything like this, so I think that's a super cool opportunity for anyone who wants to take advantage of this. You might even be giving someone, almost that once in a lifetime, chance whether to go to a WCS event in Europe, that they never would have been able to afford, due to, work or family or whatever. But by you taking that equation out for them, it really could be a once in a lifetime opportunity. So it's super cool. So I think it's one of the coolest things going on in the community right now. So my hats are, I would take my hat off, but I don't take my hat off for anyone. But I will tip my hat to you for doing that, Eddie, because that's really cool.
Yeah, but just a question, Eddie. So on the page here, it also says the player of the month has a seized. Well, what's the reason for that one there? Just a lot of the same players coming up, or
no, not so much that. It's that it's become extremely difficult to go through the amount of tournaments that we're running now, like 60, 70 a month.
Yeah.
For the whole collective OSC team to go through, review, give all the votes. It's become such a long process that it's just not really worth the investment. It's quite difficult to ask people to do that and do it properly, So that's the reason. The circuit is too big to do it the way we've been doing it. But we have.
That's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. But yeah, we're coming up with a new tournament that will sort of be like a player of the month that we want to try and do, which is the Challengers Cup, which I can talk a bit more about later. But that was the reason, It's just so big now that it's not really viable for everyone to vote on.
Okay.
Fair enough.
And then with that, we also have the weekly wager, right, starting up, and then the Sentimentio Latino.
Yep, both have started up. We've had 2 of the Latin American Cups. They've been quite good. We've had about 60 sign-ups for both initially, of which about 35 to 40 checked in. So it's really good for the Latin community. And the weekly wager is replacing the dollar show matches. So it's just got a very small OSC point entry. Players put 5 of their OSC points into the pot. There's also points to be won weekly, as well as $100 prize for the top 4 players.
Right.
Info for that's on SC2 Online if you want to check it out further. But that's a new weekly tournament. A great way to try and gamble a little bit, try and get a few extra points in your total. If you're confident, or if you get a good bracket, it's very low entry.
Is it kind of like a poker kind of thing where everyone puts in the little 5-point bet, and whoever wins the tournament gets it all, or winner takes all?
Yeah,
kind of deal?
Not all, but yeah, a percentage of the pot for sure. We've set a very low entry. I said it was 5. When you take into account, you get a participation prize of 2.5 as well. So really, it's only a 2.5 OSC point entry. So basically, anyone can play if they've played in one tournament before. So
right. I think
will that increase as the season goes on, or?
I think it will. Yeah.
What up, my dudes?
Welcome.
Hi.
How's it going?
All right, now I gotta fix everyone's camera. 1 second. Talks among yourselves.
We were just talking about the weekly wager, Penguin. What do you think about that?
The what?
The weekly wager tournament. About replacing the challenger matches. You came in the middle of the conversation, man.
Yeah, but I was streaming till this second.
Yeah, it's fine. It's alright.
What is the weekly wager?
Did you even host this stream?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I don't get alerts. I didn't know.
Oh, shit. So yeah, we just explained it. So for those joining us, it's kind of like a a small entry fee. It's replacing the challenger matches while everyone doesn't have too many OSC points at the start, to be able to win, get like a jump start in terms of OSC points for later on in the season. So you can, get
And
a
then
nice
that's
head start.
going back to challenge matches later, or what?
Probably will bring them back in the second half of the year. Yeah.
Okay, I don't mind
also
it.
depend how this series goes, but yeah, like we were saying, it's got a very small entry, which is 5 OSC points. But taking
Okay,
into
that's pretty
account,
cool.
you get 2.5 participation. So really, it's only a 2.5 entry, and you get a percentage of the pot as well as a base OSC point prize, and the top players at the end of each 4-week cycle. There's $100 plus to be won for those as well. So
Okay, yeah, that's a cool idea. I like it. I like it.
I think what we talked about last week, it was basically, it's low risk, high reward, right? Because you can
Exactly, yeah.
you can join for a low amount, but if you do win, you get a fair amount of points in return. Plus,
And there's money, which
plus
is
money. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the more important thing, I think. Because if people are going to risk their OSC points, they want to have some money to go for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty solid idea.
And then Eddie, did you want to talk about the Challenger Cup at all, or?
yeah, I'll talk about that. It hasn't started yet. It was going to start this week, but been quite busy, so going to push that back to next week. Challengers Cup is a new format as well. This one will have a $2.50 entry. And it's going to be run weekly with a base prize pool of $25. However, over a 4-week cycle, the top 4 ranked players will be invited to a $300 plus tournament, as well as, obviously each week you get OSC points at a slightly higher value for this tournament, and then for the top 4 at the end, there's also more OSC points. So very small dollar entry to this for good OSC points and money, and then the top 4 players play off for $300 plus at the end of the month. So we're going to try this as well.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And is the OSC Masters coming back as well soon?
Yes, that'll be coming back probably March, because
A+.
as we'll talk about very soon, we're running our team championship finals, so we need
Yeah, of course.
time slots to do that. So yeah, there's going to be a ton of tournaments. If there isn't already, we've talked about. That's why we've stopped things like Player of the Month, just because there's so much that it's very difficult to go through.
But I think that's really awesome, especially since you guys launched this channel last year. There's basically just content day in and day out on the channel, which is great for the organization and great for the scene.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We've got a great group of casters and everybody who works behind the scenes at OSC, the whole team. I was just actually going to shout out to Illusory, who's been doing a lot of work on the database, updating after all the tournaments.
Yep.
We've just started just over 2 weeks now, season 2018, and there's been 31 tournaments, and we said we were going to start quite light, so it's going to really step up in the next sort of month. So we're talking.
Can we take a moment, since we're talking about Illusory? Can we appreciate that guy's performance WESG?
Yeah.
Totally unrelated. But what a guy. What a guy. I love Illusory.
Yeah.
He finished 9th, I think. Just missed out on the next stage.
Yeah, I mean, he took a map off of Ender, which was sick, and then he played some decent games against CRS, if I remember correctly. He didn't do too great against Mario and Dark, but
he gave it his all. He tried.
Right.
He was present.
Yeah. That's difficult just walking into, right? It's like, all right, well, it was a good run, boys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but great for him. He's probably the hardest worker inside of the game and outside as well, the amount that he does for OSC. And he's actually the game's record holder with 300 tournaments last season, which is insane. So the guy loves and knows StarCraft pretty well.
He said 400 this season for sure.
What a guy.
He's actually going to be stepping back a bit and upping his work on the other side, helping admin and such. So yeah.
Gotcha.
We'll see if someone can beat his record. It's not going to be easy, but
yeah.
Some guys, I think, like Starkiller and Hunter and Crimson, and a few guys are already off to a really good pace.
Yeah,
in the
Hunter's
first 2
been playing in everything. Crazy. Yeah,
I mean, why not if you got the time or if you're paid to do so? there's a lot to be won. Ongoing rankings, and we mentioned earlier the new flights accommodation and
that's a
StarCraft
really,
event
really
prize.
cool idea as well. I'm really, really happy to see that.
Yeah, potentially just by playing, and the more you play, it could be you. Someone's going to win it for sure. So twice
Yep.
a year.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Psystorm bosses would be happy if it was me to save some money.
Well, there you go.
Right.
Just kidding. I'm picking a European event. They don't get to save any money.
Speaking of Psystorm, we do have the OSC Team Championship finals starting today.
Oh boy.
So let's flip over here and show you guys that bracket. So our first game we'll start off with is going to be 1F Pro Gaming versus Psystorm. So you can see that the whole thing is going to take place between the top 12 teams and clans from the last 8 months of the tournament season. So head-to-head finals, all-kill format, just like Pro League. So I'm excited. I think it's a cool format. I think it's a cool thing that we are doing for that OSC is putting on.
Mm-hmm. The format is awesome as well.
This team stuff is always so cool. Because even if you're not part of those teams, or even if you're part of, like, on the other side of the bracket, you want, like, a specific team to win, and you're still rooting for one team, and you don't want the other one to win, or, like, it always kind of brings the community together. That's what Pro League did. At least as well in the ANZ Pro League that we had here, really kind of did the same thing. So these team things are always fantastic.
Yeah.
So the format is awesome. I've been telling everybody that the format is awesome. Eddie, explain the format of the matches, because people are probably going to need an explanation going into the match.
Yeah, okay. Well, just touching back to the very start, I guess, the season ran from April to November, and all the players on the teams and clans earned points for participating in OSC tournaments. So teams got the data and the points from those players doing that. And at the end of the month, they also got points for where they were placed in the rankings. So this added up over the 8-month season, and after which point we awarded season prizes for the top teams, as well as a prize for the top clan. And now we've come to the final stage, of which the top 12 have qualified. And the format for this is going to be head-to-head, which is what everyone wants to see. We're going to have the best of both. We're going to have an all-kill format, followed directly afterwards by a Pro League 1v1 format. It's going to be based off points as well. So for each win you get in the all-kill or the Pro League, you get points. It's been set up to avoid like ace or super players, like if someone had, let's say Gumiho went on a tear and like 5-0'd or something. That's great for Psystorm, but is it really great for the rest of the players or the fans or anything? We want to see a few players from each team playing, and that sort of encourages depth for teams as well. So they can't rely just on one player, although it may help. So each team will be fielding at least 3 players, probably 3 to 5 players. So everybody gets a go, and you get the best of both formats. You got the all kill, you got the 1v1 on preset maps. So.
It's going to be a really long match. Every time there's a match, it's going to be a really long match, which I think is hard for us as managers to organize. But for the viewers, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be just a spectacle of esports. It's going to be so sick.
Yeah, it's going to be a good event. That's what we're putting on. We put on events. So when we do tournaments, we sort of budget, sort of X amount of dollars, sort of 3 to 4 hours. And the same for this. We're putting in the sort of time. We're looking at a minimum of 8 best of ones to extreme maximum 14. So best of ones, we're going to be pretty quick with the managers. So yeah, we're probably looking at about 3 hours, give or take. So a good show, good players. These are the top 12 teams and clans, Clan Bear Me, and 11 teams. So yeah, and those overall,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add that the top 4 from the season start in the upper bracket, an extra reward for that hard work they put in. So they get double chance, which is 1F, Psystorm, Rival, and Bear Me. And then the next 8 teams start in the lower bracket. So elimination for those guys.
I think it's really cool that if you look at a lot of the OSC tournaments that are run specifically by OSC. There's a lot of interesting formats, and like we have the issue in StarCraft where a lot of people are kind of getting bored of the same format over and over again. It's like, oh, it's a single elimination online cup, or oh, it's 3 group stages into a single elimination bracket every single LAN. Well, like when you look at the OSC tournaments, you got like Masters Cup where it's 6-person round robin best of 2 groups, which when you say it like that to people who haven't followed the tournament sounds kind of crazy, but it works out really well. Makes for really interesting situations as well where like you end up, I mean, I've played the last 3 of them and I've ended up in some really awkward situations. I remember me and Game Time were playing in one of them and it was like, well, if either of us loses one map, we're out. And then we went 1-1. It's like, okay, that's great. We're both dead now. We just both simultaneously killed each other. And, like, you just get really fun storylines like that. And for this one as well, I just think this is just going to be such sick matches. Especially when we get to, like, Expert versus Exceed, which is already going to happen in the first loser round. Like, oh, that's going to be so many good games.
Yeah. Yeah, I really do like the Masters Cup group format best of 2. We have to have the contingencies, the tiebreakers in place for that. So we do have a process, but yeah, it often comes down to those tiebreakers. There's a lot of close series when it comes down to just map score, you know, not taking a series. And another one I'm really proud of is, of course, our OSC championship, the player championship.
Oh yeah, that format has always been sick too.
That's sort of custom created how we seed out the players. You got to do something like this when we're talking over a year span this season. Because I sort of come from a traditional sort of sports background where you have your season and then you have your rankings and then you play your final sort of thing, right? So if you finish first or second, that should be rewarded. So yeah, that's another one I'm really proud of, and I think players like. And we can put on a great event. That was 10 days this year, 10 broadcasts.
And I think also with that one specifically, you see a few players sneaking in who arguably are not the same skill level as most of the other guys, but because they put in the work, they get some money out of it. They get the chance to prove that maybe they are on that level and people just don't realize. It just makes for a really great event all around, I think.
The best part is that like every single map matters.
Yep.
So like you can't be like, oh, I'm just playing against Vodge over here. It's gonna be a piece of cake, and then he takes one game off you with like some dumb cheese, and you're like, oh, okay, Vodge took one game off me. It doesn't matter. But it's like that still is a big deal because one map, you know, taken by Bjorn or taken by Vodge is the same value. Whereas in a tournament, you're like, oh, I just beat Vodge 3-1. He beat me once, but it doesn't really matter. And this is like you have to be really solid all around to be able to get up to the top 8.
Yep.
And that's actually starting here in what, 2.5 hours?
Yep.
Just over 1.5 hours.
1.5. Okay.
Yep.
Casted by Vodge.
Yours truly.
We should have brought an expired for some shit talk.
Yeah, I offered him. I think
we've been going at it on Twitter a little bit.
He was scared to get on camera.
Oh, but he always has his blazer and looks awesome.
Yeah, he thought you were gonna make some short jokes though. He's really sensitive about his height.
I never make short jokes. I just laugh about how easy it's gonna be.
Right. Just like the good old days of the Toast Talks back when we were doing the.
Oh man.
When we were still doing Dust League stuff when that was still going on.
Oh my god.
We got some good bands going.
Oh, that was an interesting one. The World versus Ricky.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a good show.
But not even that. Like when we had Caboose on and stuff too. Like we'd take some shots at him, and there was some good stuff. That had some good stuff back when that was a thing.
Yeah, I did reach out to some of those guys, Austin and Caboose, but unfortunately a bit busy today. I think afternoon in NA working and such. But maybe we'll do another show in a couple of weeks. If they're still in it, you know.
Yeah. Or they should still be in it in a couple of weeks, right? Because they'll drop down to lose around 4, even if they lose.
That's right.
So it'll take a while for them to drop to anyone else.
It'll take a while for them to go 0-2, is what you're saying.
Right. But no, I mean obviously that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna eat some dinner here when we get done, and then immediately tune in for round 1 of that. So I'm excited, you know. And then other than that, for upcoming events, you know, really we have the WSGNA finals for that. And then in 2 days, like I said before, we have IEM Pyeongchang. So there's a lot of stuff coming right up here. So we got a lot of great stuff for the rest of this week. GSL's on tonight.
Oh, I'm gonna ruin my sleep schedule now.
Oh no.
No way. Did you just? No. Now I have to look at the bracket.
It's,
Who's playing today?
Hero, Maru, Ragnarok,
yeah.
and Keen.
Oh, I don't have to stay up for that. That's fine.
Well, do you know who's going to get through? I don't know. They're
Hero
pretty
and
even.
Maru.
Yeah,
Hero and Maru.
Ragnarok is definitely getting through.
No, he's not.
I'm posting. Look at this. Look at. Okay,
Nah, man. Zerg just
go
got
into the
nerfed.
chat.
Everything's
I'm gonna
gonna
show
go
everyone.
downhill.
Look at this beautiful picture of.
I have
of
always
Ragnarok.
respected
Look
Ragnarok.
at that guy.
But
That guy's definitely gonna win some games. Definitely gonna win some games. He's a handsome lad. He's gonna win some games tonight.
no, but see, the thing is, he could. Like, if he was in another group, he could rely on his looks for some intimidation. But we're talking about Hero, man.
Right.
And Maru, who's
And-
like
I
got
mean,
the cute side.
Yeah, but
you know?
Hero can sometimes just look like he can beat anyone, or he loses.
No, but I'm
to
talking
someone
as far as
stupid.
looks goes.
Oh, just on looks. Okay.
Just on looks intimidation. Hero's not going to be intimidated by anyone's looks.
I don't think. Yeah. Well, I don't think Hero's very intimidating though either, because he just kind of has
He's too cute.
he's got like a dopey look on his face.
Oh, and Maru did lose to Time.
Yeah.
It's
So,
Time.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
I think Kane's got pretty
Keane's
good
up
TVT
there.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Keane
think
is
Keane's
pretty good at
TVT is probably his
TVT, yeah.
best.
Yeah.
I would agree. Like Keen, I think Keen could maybe pull an upset. But
Yeah,
It depends on the order,
I
even.
think it'll
if
be-
Hero
well,
plays
because
Ragnarok first.
Hero
Hero
plays
plays
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
I think, like, the only chance anyone else gets out of the group is if Keen beats Ragnarok, which I think is kind of a 50-50.
So
I think Maru stomps Ragnarok and, like, might lose to Keen.
So I think it'll be Maru out first because he'll play Hero in the winners, and then Maru will win. And so then it'll be Hero for second place, and I think he'll have to play.
No. I think Maru will not have a chance against Hero.
You think Hero beats Maru?
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
I don't think
That's
there's...
just happened, right? Even
Yeah,
on
but that's the
Korea.
thing as well. Like, of the Koreans, Hero tends to be one of the best innovators on new patches. He's such a good... He's basically turned into Korean Bly. It's like, new
but,
patch?
like,
Okay,
most of them
7
involve
new cheeses
stalkers,
that you've
right?
never seen.
Time for me
Stalkers are still pretty good, dude.
to come up with some shit. He says.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's fair.
And I feel like maybe Ragnarok, if he does some like super early game cheese, could knock out Hero. Like his EVP is weird like
No,
that.
no,
If,
I don't think so.
If Protoss
Like-
goes a bit too greedy.
Well, Ragnarok is one of the Zergs that is the most build order oriented. And so I think he's going to be the person in the group that suffers the most from the new patch. Also because Zerg is the only race that didn't get any buffs. But, you know,
We're not complaining about that.
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
But yeah, everything else looks good. Obviously,
Do we want to do some predictions of the team championship bracket while we got you guys here?
I'm down.
For how far? Up until the finals or up
Yeah,
until?
man, up until the finals.
let me
Ugh.
let me pull it back up here. I'll pull it back up the brackets for everyone so you can see here. Okay.
I mean, at least for the upper bracket, I've got some predictions, but it might make Penguin a bit sad.
What?
All right.
How on earth? Okay,
I'm-
you first. You first.
I
I think,
believe in me and Micah.
Yeah, I believe. Well, we just said that. I mean, Mio's like really high up there, but if he plays against a Protoss, it could be a bit weird. I think Psystorm's gonna win against 1F Pro today. I'm not sure how close it will be, but because of the format, because I'm not used to the format either, so it's hard to make a prediction. But I think Psystorm gets through, and then Rival and Bear Me, I think probably is Seether and stuff still playing for Bear Me, or are they on Sif?
He's on Sif. Yes, yeah.
So he's on Bear Me.
No, he's on
He's
SY.
on SYF.
So he is on SYF, so he switched. So then I'd probably favor Rival, because they lost a couple of their players. But maybe if Panda Be Me does some like crazy stuff, it might make it even. And then Penguin's gonna hate me, but I think Rival beats Psystorm in the winners finals.
In what universe? Like, I could see you saying Mio and 1F Pro take us out, but when? How? What?
It depends if Gumiho plays, right?
I can see it, but I don't think it's likely because Future could take a
I
map,
don't think
you
so.
know.
Well, yeah, Future can do well. Future can, like, here's the thing, right? I feel like Rival has less of a supporting cast for Future than 1F Pro does for Mio Micah. Like, obviously, they each have their star player. I think Future can definitely take maps against any team. I think Mio Micah can definitely take maps against any team. But if you look at the rest of the roster, and I'm saying this out of love for Rival, I love my Rival boys. Maybe not Cuddle Bear. I mean, maybe Cuddle Bear.
Yeah,
but like maybe no, I don't think Cuddle Bear's in great form right now. Maybe Caleb can get like a cheeky game, but no one on that roster scares me except for Future.
Maybe H-Jax
Mystic.
if he's playing like...
No, we're not going to field anyone who would lose to H-Jax.
I tried H-Jax.
1F is... 1F, on the other hand, like, if you look at 1F, obviously their superstar right now is Mio. He's killing it in online tournaments, and I've been telling all my guys, be careful, because a lot of them don't follow some of that stuff. They got to be careful. But if you look at the supporting cast for Mio, you've got Bystork, who's scary because he's basically knockoff Haas, and, like, he's pretty decent at being knockoff Haas. Then you have Wally, who's always pretty good. You've got Yours, who's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you've got, like, no one else on that roster really scares me. But those three, and then B-Lord, if he's playing well, also a little scary. So I think 1F is a scarier team than Rival. I think overall, though, I think we are pretty happy with our bracket up to the grand finals. Most of the teams we're scared of are down there in the loser bracket.
I think the biggest thing is I just value Terrans too much, maybe. There's not a lot of Terrans in the 1F Pro lineup.
Maybe. Maybe.
I think it'll be Rival over Bear Me. And then I think that Psystorm will lose to 1F today. But they're going to come back through loser's bracket to win the whole thing.
To play against 1F again.
Yep.
To get the revenge kill against 1F.
For the rematch, yep.
Oh, yeah.
I think...
Best storyline right there.
I think,
or
bias
it'll be
here.
the exact opposite, where 1F will lose, and then they'll come back for the revenge in the finals.
My God. So I think you've got to consider there are times when we send weaker lineups in Clan Wars, and you might look at some of the lineups we fielded, even recently, like Wardy Team League, when we almost got all killed by Tesla. No comment. Thank you, Gumiho. But we sometimes do field weaker lineups because I personally am all about promoting everybody and making sure that everyone has a chance to show what they can do.
Right.
But when it gets down to it, when it's an important match, and you might look at this and say, oh, but Psystorm is winner bracket, so this is arguably not that important a match. Then you look at some of the guys in the loser bracket. We don't want to go down there in round 4, man. We don't want to be sitting there waiting for the winner of Exceed versus Expert.
Right.
Like, really rather not be in that situation.
It's true.
So we'll have we'll be playing pretty solid lineups in the 2 winner bracket matches.
Penguin has confirmed good lineups for tonight.
Yeah, I have confirmed good lineups for tonight. Now, the interesting thing for me, and I was telling Eddie, even though I love the format, this is a bit of a mission for me. Time zone is, in my opinion, like perfectly timed out. Works for kind of every region. A little early for Europe, but by the time you get to Pro League, some of the European guys might be awake. But for me, what's hard is that we've got a lot of guys on the East Coast who are like available for the all-kill part, and then may or may not be around for the next one. So while you're talking about like, oh yeah, I'll have at least 3 or 4 people, we're going to have 9 people on deck ready to go today. So we might see a lot of Psystorm players. But it's going to be, for the lower bracket, I think, the lower bracket's really interesting. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen with Dead Pixels, since they have they have 3 players right now.
Yeah, right. And Optimus isn't one of them.
No, it's Elroy, Avire, and Patience. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Are they playing?
Yeah, I'm waiting to hear back from the manager. Actually, I reached out to see maybe a bit of an update there. They are allowed. To play. Yeah, Patience is on now. Still, I think they are allowed to play Optimus and Fear if those 2 guys agree, because they were on the team at the end of the rankings, end of November.
Okay, so that's interesting.
That's if they have an agreement with them. I'm waiting to hear back. So.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
otherwise Dust still does have Star Killer and the Korean player. I'm forgetting his name. Who is it? The place for them
Penguin?
right now.
Penguin? Is he on Dust?
No,
Yeah,
no. Spear means he is. Penguin's on Dust, and then Spear is as well. They have a bunch of no-name.
Who was
Koreans.
I thinking of?
You were thinking
They've also
of
got some really good
No.
Latin American guys like Jarpy and
Yeah, maybe he wasn't Korean.
Halfbreed.
So honestly, like Halfbreed and Jarpy and Star Killer are arguably the 3 scariest. They have a bunch of throwaway Koreans, in my opinion, that aren't very
that's
good.
what I was thinking of, Apocalypse.
Oh, APOC shouldn't be
yeah.
allowed to play in tournaments, but I don't know. That's up to you guys.
Wow.
Oh, he was kicked off of Psystorm before I joined because he was proven to be match fixing in GSL qualifiers.
Oh.
Yeah, he admitted it, so they basically banned him from all tournaments. But regardless, I don't think they've been fielding him anyway, so...
Okay, I didn't know. That's what I was thinking of. I didn't know if he was playing
and Jarpy are much scarier anyway. I don't think Apocalypse is good enough to be in their top 4 anyway, so I don't think it makes a difference. They are scary. I think this is really good for Dust because Dust gets dead pixels. Like, the bracket is super interesting because you've got Exceed and Expert, who, if you just had those 7 teams listed, would be the 2 to make it through.
Yeah.
But they face off against each other. And then we have Dust. Dust should make it to round 3 without any problems.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can easily beat Red Bloods, and I think OSC will be their biggest challenge.
Yeah, but even OSC is beatable for them because Jarpy is still pretty solid. Halfbreed's fallen off a little bit, but he's always a scary player. Starkiller depends which Starkiller shows up. If good Starkiller shows up, they're going to have a hard time, OSC is. He can definitely even take out players like Maru.
His ZBZ is just absolutely crazy too.
Yeah. Oh, I don't actually think his ZBZ is very good, to be honest. But
it beats like players that play very, very, run of the mill.
His ZBZ is like, it can beat players way better than him, but it can also lose to players way worse than him.
Oh yeah.
But I think Dust, solid 40% chance to get past OSC Elite, and then they play either 1F Rival or Bear Me, who are all beatable as well. So I think honestly, Dust has a deep run in them. I think they have a good chance of making round 5. I think when they make round 5, regardless of who wins between them and OSC Elite, they die against Exceed. I think Exceed will beat Expert.
I think it helps us because they have such a deep roster too. Like, they have so many different players, like we were just saying. Whereas like some of these other teams, it's like they've got like that one clutch player that can like win most games, right? But with them, it's like, all right, we've got a pretty deep roster. Like, we can pretty much do whatever we want.
Yeah, but I think the biggest match, potentially, of the entire tournament is Exceed versus Expert. That's going to be such an insane match. I'm so looking forward to it. And that one is going to be really interesting as well, because on paper, Expert has the slightly stronger individual players, but they don't have Bjorn anymore. I'm not sure who's going to play for them, since they only have 3 players. But
Bjorn will be allowed to play if they have an agreement with him, because he was still on there at the end of November. So
if Bjorn plays, they have a very scary lineup, but they come with a lot of predictability. Whereas the top players at Exceed are also like really good as well. They've got Ryung, Special, Rainer, and then they can also slot in some other people. Guru's pretty good, Ryu is decent, and then a lot of people on that B team for them are kind of unknowns, but they're pretty solid. Diord is pretty good. Gerald is very, very good right now, and then they've got a bunch of other GMs: Marg, Kavendi Vidivin, Zalazane, Ruin Blaster even. So they can definitely field an unexpected lineup, potentially come out with some snipe builds. So that's going to be definitely the match to watch, I think.
What about after that? So you said that that's going to be like the craziest matchup, and I think I agree with you. If you look at the names just side by side, it's going to be some crazy high-level games. Then they're going to play against, Sif Gaming and Esloth.
Yeah, I think, honestly, whoever wins between Exceed and Expert basically walks into the finals unless we lose.
Bold predictions. There's only one way to find out is what happens tonight.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's going to be like a cakewalk all the way up, though. It might
OSC
not be
Elite might be hard. Dust might be hard, but I give both of those teams like a 15% chance.
Well, again, we'll just have to find out here. It starts in an hour and a half here, guys, so make sure you tune in. Same channel, obviously, in 1.5 hours for that action, casted by Vaj. So I'm excited. Guys, thank you for joining us. That's pretty much all the time we've got for today, although I did want to show one last thing here, which was just some of our winners here for the last couple tournaments that we've had. So I see Starkiller's won quite a few. Mio Mike is on there quite a few times, and as well as Crimson. But congratulations to all these guys for winning the last couple tournaments that we've had. And we also did have this nice OSC hype video that we wanted to watch here. So just a minute long here. Let's check
made
this
by
out.
the Blazer TV guys. So thanks for that. It's pretty cool. Let's have a look.
Wow, over $9,000 in bounties paid. It's pretty impressive. Good little highlight video. I like it. So thanks to
That's
the
awesome,
the
man.
Blazer guys.
Oh, Blazer made that? Awesome. They're great.
Yeah, real nice work. But again, yeah, guys, make sure you tune into the tournament here. It starts in like an hour and a half. As always, Eddie, thanks for being here. Vaj, thank you for joining us, and Penguin, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you guys stopping by and giving us some of your insight.
No worries at all.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone,
Cheers, mate.
We'll see you in a little bit. Actually, don't go anywhere because you're just going to stay here to watch this tournament. So you might as well just watch this video all over again. So we'll see you. We'll see you in about 2 weeks' time. Take care.